So we're recording. Hi, everybody. This is Amy
Hi.
Lane, the Literate Yogi, and I am with psychic Patty Griffin. And she is a psychic from Connecticut. I'm just going to read a little bit of her bio, which is on your website. If I can get into this foolish thing. All right. So it says that Patty is a gifted psychic medium, an intuitive, clairvoyant, empath, Reiki master, certified angel card reader, and angel links facilitator. So you're going to tell me all about each one of those things, but you're kind of, you got a lot going on. So tell me about when you first knew that something was different about you.
Okay. Well, I always knew from a very young age that I was very different. Probably, in my preteens, I was very different. Like I was, very much to myself and very sensitive to everything, and I would be able to write things at the age of 13. Friends in school would ask me to write if they were writing like a biography or something about like a grandparent or something. They would ask me to write it, and I would write it like I knew them, and they weren't here anymore. And I always thought it was just because I was able to write, and I never really knew, and I would know things at those ages. But I think we block it out because it's not the norm that you expect it to be. And I always knew I was different, and I've always loved mediums. And for years, mediums would say to me, "No, you're a medium. You're going to go and you're going to do this." And I'm like, "Yeah, wrong girl." And it wasn't actually until I was in my early 40s that I embraced it and said, "Okay, well, this is who I am. This is who I was born to be." And I know I'm jumping ahead from you asking me from what age, but I always knew at a very young age. I just didn't really identify it till I was an adult in my 40s.
So, so what is a medium?
A medium has the means to talk to those that are no longer with us. So when a loved one has crossed over, I like to call it the other side. We call it heaven, we call it the other side, because I believe it's a transition almost into the next room. And I have the ability to communicate with them, to give their loved ones specific information that they are with them, watching over them, and that even though that their physical body is not here, that their soul, their essence, their love will remain here with them.
So that is like really confusing for a child to experience that.
Absolutely. You see things as a child, and my children actually, have it too. Two of two of my three. Well, one really has the gift of the mediumship, and he's seen spirits when he was little. I remember when my dad passed, he actually would see him in the room. He was 2 years old, and he had the ability. And then as they get a little older, they lose it, and then they come into it again when it's time. But it is very scary, because what do you say to somebody? I'm seeing something, I know something, I have a sense of dread, or I see a person sitting there that maybe isn't there, or I know that grandpa's passed, but he just held my hand. You know what I mean? Like, what do you say?
Right. And so, growing up, like, how did you control that? Did it come like sporadically, or was this like all the time?
It was all the time. And again, I just knew I was very different. And I just thought it was because I was sensitive. And a lot of times, they don't let you, like, you'll just know things without seeing it. So I would get other people's thoughts or just know something about somebody that passed. And I was like, not really putting it where it was supposed to be. So I was afraid of it. Again, I didn't embrace it until my 40s, because I remember once not a few years ago, about 20 years ago, somebody said to me, "You're a medium and you have the ability to see dead people. And if you, meditated, you would see dead people in the mirror." To this day, I can't meditate. Like, it scared me. So as a child, I was always afraid of that. Like, I'm like, I don't want to see dead people. Because you don't know. It's the, unknown. Now I embrace it. I'm like, all right, bring them on. Where are they? Let's go. But
Right.
it's so different to be able to do that. A lot of people are able to do it, but it's such a different thing that you hide it, because the world says, oh, or they used to say, well, that's not normal and you're not supposed to do this. So yeah, you had no one to talk to back then. Now, like I embrace, like if somebody like reaches out to me and says, my daughter has a gift, this one has this, could you talk to them? And I talk to them, whether they're, 12 years old or 14 years old. I try to talk to them and let them know, how to protect themselves, what to do. So because they're not in danger, but to protect themselves so they feel comfortable. So they're not, in fear.
Mm-hmm. So
Because I didn't have that.
did you have anybody growing up that supported you?
I really didn't talk about it because it was kind of like you just didn't talk about it. And so I didn't talk about it. So no, I didn't have anybody to communicate with that about because, back then they'd be like, all right, well, let's lock her up. Like
Right.
she thinks she sees dead people, or she thinks she's hearing things, or she thinks I would know dates of things, and I would, just know things that I shouldn't have known. And so there was nobody to talk to. So again, I had I don't want to say I was a loner, but I was a loner, even growing up, with, four siblings, I was very much a loner, and I kept to myself. I would be more comfortable like in my room listening to music because that was my meditation. That's what made me feel better and safe. I can't explain why, it just did. And
Right.
that's what I would do.
And so when you said you got into your 40s and you were like, okay, I think I'm ready to do more with this. Did you have special
Yes.
training, or were you like, I'm just gonna like just do this?
Well, in my 30s, I started getting up in the middle of the night and I would go into the bathroom and I would, because we're programmed not to do this. We're programmed to be afraid of this. We are,
Right.
it's not normal. So when you're almost subconscious, when you're almost sleeping, right, that's when it really comes to. So when I was in my 30s, I would scare my husband. I would go into the bathroom and I would start writing. I put the seat down and I would start writing, and it was automatic writing. I did it for like 10 years, not really knowing again what it was. And it was messages. I would read, his uncle would come through and different people would come through. And so, but it only happened when I was almost asleep. And, and then when I got into my 40s, the reason that I started doing this and the reason that I embraced it, because I started kind of reading, and I knew at that point, I knew what everybody had told me. And I'm like, all right, they're like, you're supposed to be out there. You're supposed to write a book. You're supposed to be on TV. You're going to do stage shows. You're going to do this. And I'm like, I'm shy. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
not
going to
doing
do that.
that.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not a medium. That's not what I do. That's not who I am. And I really was. And I've done all that. Like, I've done all that now, but I started to embrace it. And again, the reason, a friend had called me up and she had said to me, could you come over my house? There's something going on. And I'm like, what are you calling me? What do I look like, Ghostbusters? And I actually said that. And her friend had passed away. It was her very best friend, and her friend was passed and everything was breaking in my friend's house. So I went over there, and sure enough, I started reading her. And I never told anybody that I had this. I didn't share this with people, and this was 8 years ago. And so I went over there, and then I started telling her about a diamond necklace that she had worn from her, and just about Betty Boop and different things. And then I told her that the reason things were breaking is that the husband that was still here was going to kill himself. And that in
Oh,
my mind, I went into this man's home, and I seen the flag on the wall, I seen the coal stove, and then I seen like this gold hassock, and in the hassock was a gun. And I said, you got to get the gun. He's going to kill himself. He wants to be with her. Now, this sweet little woman who had passed was Catholic, and she really thought that they wouldn't be together if she did this. So she was breaking my friend's like heater and cooling system. Like, I'm talking like thousands of dollars worth of items to get her attention, to get her to get somebody. So I told her all the information and kind of forgot about it. A few days later, she called me up and she said, okay, it's right where you said it. We got it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, the gun. We got the gun. And I'm like, oh, crap.
wow.
I'm like, okay. And then I said at that point, I go, all right, well, then I know I'm supposed to do this. And then I went and I spoke to a woman in Farmington. So I didn't have training. I called this woman. She had a mediumship class, but all they did when you walked in was they looked at you and said, start reading people. And I'm like, I'm not a medium. She looked at me and she said, honey, you have the gift. Like, there's like a lot of people in this room, and she's like single me out. She goes, you don't understand. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want it. I'm good. I'm good. And I said, I'm not a medium. And it took me a year to do what she said. And a year later I went and I followed her advice. she asked me to go to a psychic fair, which I did. I'd never been to one in my life. And that's how I got my foot in the door. And then I started going to my own fairs. And then I realized, wow, I really am like a psychic medium. Like I have the ability to speak to those who are not here, and I have the ability to know things for people that are here to help them on their journey. So,
Wow. So, and you're also a Reiki master. Did you do that like recently?
no, the reason I did the Reiki, and I'll tell you, so again, not really knowing how far I was as a medium, and I remember my dad died in 2005, and so I went to a we were on vacation because we had to go like weeks after his vacation, and I went to a Reiki master because my back had went out, so I went and did Reiki, and she started like reading me, and I was like, wow, like I didn't expect it. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what's happening right now? And she gave me some information, which I wasn't having it because I didn't know what was happening. Like I wasn't looking for that. And then I said, I'm going to take this Reiki. I'm going to try it just because I kind of knew that there was, even though I didn't admit it, like I knew there was things going on. So I took my Reiki class. I want to say, I did my Reiki master in, I guess, 2009. So I've been for, a very, very long time. So before I started reading, like professionally, I
Right.
did the Reiki master. And so I, do Reiki on my dog and, my family members if they needed it and stuff like that. Send it to friends that needed it.
So I just took a Reiki master, not a Reiki master, Reiki one. And the reason why I took it is because I need some help opening up my channels. So I grew up um, having a lot of experiences, and it was too scary for me. And it was getting stronger and stronger as I was getting older and older. And it just got to the point where I just felt like it was too freaky for me. And so I shut it down. So now I'm trying to experiment a little bit with it and trying to, open up with it a little bit. And that's why I took the Reiki to see if I could open myself up. So I need to keep working with that, I think. So
Yes. And when I did and again, I was just drawn to it because this woman had read me and I was like, wow. And so
yeah.
I think I was just guided from spirit, not knowing it. You know what I mean? They kind of took me on the path where I was supposed to go. And I took the class, and, we were reading people in the class, and again, thinking nothing of it, like doing like accurate, like thinking nothing of it. And, and I think that has helped me as well, to open up, to believe in things, and to know that it's okay, to open up your channels. It's okay to do different things. It's okay to do things that maybe beat to a different drum, type, so to speak.
Right. So let me ask you a question because so I also do a lot of tarot reading, a lot of oracle card reading, and I was talking to a friend over the weekend, and she said, "Oh, I don't believe in that," and she's her religion doesn't believe in that. So I mean, did you grow up with a religion? How do you handle when people say things like that? Because it's not, like I explained, I'm not worshiping the devil or bringing in evil spirits. It's, that's not what I'm doing. But how do you address that?
Well, I was born and raised Catholic.
Hmm.
So, and there are going to be, a lot of people who say, well, the Bible says this and the Bible says that. And I know when I first started coming out of the closet, my children were little, and I was very active in their, in the PTA and, with their events, and, lived in a small town. And I was afraid of what people would say, because I was afraid, not for me, because I'm, a grown adult, but I was afraid what they would say about my children,
Right.
or give them a hard time, that because people call it demon work, or people
Right.
would go on my page when I first started doing it and say, you're a devil worshiper, or you're this or you're that. And so I'm born and raised Catholic. I was born with a gift to communicate with those that are no longer here. And I say to people that my gift helps people. Like I've helped people who have had cancer, like their mom has come in and said, go get your stomach checked. That's not the devil's work. That's God intervening, saying, please go get your stomach checked. And so I'm a big believer in that we're all born with gifts. Like singers are born with beautiful voices, and athletes are born with this skill. And so I just started saying to people, like I actually post something on my page about it when somebody gives me a hard time. And I just say, you know, I I hid this for a long time because of people like that. And I was afraid of it because I was born Catholic and I am Catholic, and they make you afraid of that. And this is who I am. And I am light, and I believe in God. I pray to God every time before I read. I pray to Archangel Michael, I pray to Archangel Raphael, and I pray to God. And I don't do anything bad. I always read for the highest good, and I believe that God made me this way and he gave me this gift. And it's sad that I don't feel like I belong in church. Like, like when I go, I feel like because if people knew, you know what I mean? So I kind of pray to myself now, but it is what it is. But I am, again, born Catholic, and I can't help. This is what God made me, not, I'm afraid of negative stuff. I don't even watch scary movies and, different things like that. I just don't like my daughter. There was the Ouija movie. Do you
Oh,
remember when that came out? And I don't believe in that. Like, don't touch that stuff. And just them even talking on the TV, like, hey, is that John? It's not John. I'm like, oh my God, turn that off. We don't want
yeah.
to watch that. Just the preview of it, because I'm just still against that even now. I used to say I was a scaredy cat medium when I started doing this because I was afraid of the unknown. And again, like you say, people thinking that I was somebody else. And now I don't care what people think anymore. Like, I've come to an understanding in my life where I was born to do this. I was born to embrace this. Doors opened without me touching the handle when I started doing this. And I've helped heal so many people. And again, that's God's work. I've given people their life back. I've stopped people from wanting to hurt themselves. And so I just say, you know what, if you don't like what I do, turn the channel. If
Right.
you don't want to see me, don't go on my site.
Mhm.
I won't bother you. You don't bother me. You live your life, I'll live mine, and we'll agree to disagree. And
Right.
it took me a long time to feel that way, but I can't change who I was born to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you have spirit guides?
I do.
How many do you
I,
have?
I have 7 that I talk to. So I have 7. I first started talking to my first one I'd say about 12 years ago. Like, I started asking them like who they were and what they did. And surprisingly, they would talk back to me.
So, what is that like though? Like when you say you talk to them, do you get a name? Do like
Well, I have for some of them. I know I have different ones. And then of course I have my loved ones in spirit that I call upon myself, that are my angel guides. Um, I have one who was really funny. I love writing. Okay. I was born like writing, and I love that. And one of my spirit guides is a former writer. And he actually wrote for, like a newspaper of some sort or something like that. And I know his first name. We've talked about it. And then I've always been loved wolves and, guided towards like Indian stuff. And
Mhm.
one of my guides is an Indian princess. So a female. And so different things like that. And I don't know a lot about everybody else, but those are my 2 main ones that I talk to all the time. But I know that I have 7 of them.
So, with your spirit guides, how did you touch base with them originally? Did you, because you said that you don't really like to meditate.
I just started like talking, like I would talk in my mind. I literally can't meditate. I had such a fear of it because of what that person told me years ago, that I'm somewhere and I'm trying to meditate, I could do it for other people. Like, I could have a class and teach people mediumship and not teach them. Oh, you asked me about that too. We'll go back to that. I could help them, open up their gifts, and I could teach them how to meditate. But for myself, I have that where I can't let go. Like, I have that fear part that I just can't do it. And
Right.
so I would just say, like, who are you? Are you my person? And they would talk back to me. And that's how I started doing it, by just simply talking to them. Even before, like, a lot of people who do what I do, they meditate before they go out on performance, or they meditate
Mhm.
before I don't do any of that. I just, I listen to music, and music to me is my meditation. And that is something I've done since a child, and it made me feel better.
Because I know when you came to the studio to do your session with us, you wanted to be alone, right? You
I
wanted to be
had,
in a little room, and you had music on, right?
yes, I had my AirPods in, and that's what I was doing. That I was listening, because I have to listen to like one or two songs before I go out. It just frees me from the energy that I could feel out there. And I kind of hide away and I listen to my music. And that's just, when I go to events where I would go read, like at a fair or something, people would probably think I wouldn't talk to them because I'd be walking through with music on, so I could block everybody out. And they couldn't see it because my hair covers it. And
Right.
that's what I do. And that's my meditation, because I can't meditate.
Wow.
I haven't tried in a long time. And people always said to me, if you learn how to meditate, you're going to read even, more so. And I'm like, wow, because I read pretty good now. So I'm like,
Right.
what would that be like? But I do pray. I pray whenever I'm going to do something. I pray to Archangel Michael. I pray to, like I said, Archangel Raphael. I have my 5 people, I have more than that crossover, but I pray to them and I pray to God, and I call upon them every day to come into, so I'm bringing them in. I'm just not doing the meditation, but I mean, I like tomorrow I'm going to go to the beach, and to me that's meditation, walking on the beach, letting your feet hit the sand, walking in the water. That to me is
Mhm.
grounding and meditation more so than anything.
Right. Right. Now, in your bio, you do something with angels. What do you do with
So
angels?
I took I took this class years ago, and I don't really like, because I'm so busy with the mediumship and I'm so busy with the psychic readings that I don't offer the Reiki. I don't offer um the angel links, and I don't do the angel card readings. I just don't do them. But I took classes for them. Like the I took a class where you attune to the angels, and you're just attuned to the different angels that are there, Archangel Michael, all different ones that you're attuned to them. And I have the ability to attune other people just like you would get attuned to Reiki. And
Right.
it's a class similar. Again, I don't teach it because I'm so busy doing what I do. And you're able to attune somebody to their angels to be able to feel them when they can't feel them. Just like
Right.
when somebody's not speaking to their angel guides, well, you're going to help them bring that out to them. And also the angel card readings, I don't really do the cards. And we were talking about that, the tarot cards.
Yeah.
And somehow I'm long-winded. So I'll talk about
No, I
different
love it. Are
things.
you kidding me? This is
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. And the angel cards years ago, and this is probably going to be controversial. Remember Doreen Virtue, and she did,
Yes,
and
yes,
now she's
yes,
not
yes,
doing it. She's
yes.
against the whole thing now. Well, she had a class where she made a lot of money on these classes, and she would take you in and she would teach you how to read the angel cards.
Right.
And I
I have
took
a
the
deck.
class just to do it. Yes, okay. I used to have because when I started coming out into this again, before I knew I was a medium, I started going to different classes and the
Yep.
Reiki and the different things, and I did that. It's because people would do that, and I bought mini decks,
Me
and so
too.
I'm able to do that too. But I don't use them. Like I have friends that do tarot, and I know that they're wonderful. And I personally have always been like afraid of it, but I have people who use it, and I ask them for advice, and they help me with that, because like I'm able to do it without that. They're able to use their gift with it. And some people just need different things with their gifts. And so
Yeah.
I find nothing wrong with it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think people have their own gifts, and if you have something that enhances it, then that's what you do.
Right. That's how I feel with the cards, is that it's almost like a jumping off point for me. And then I can have a really good reading with somebody. So I enjoy using those actually. Um,
Yes, and it's such a gift for you guys to do, because I have good friends that use them, and I go to them now and say, "Hey, could you help me with this? Could you help me with this?" And it's amazing to me with the cards, like they really know how to use them. And
yeah.
I'm sure you do too. And for me, I've never needed to do that, and I could go into something, and I've actually taken a tarot class before. I just don't. I've taken different things when I was going on my spiritual path, like
Yeah.
kind of fighting where I was going with it,
Right.
just to I think the universe just said, okay, we'll go do this. Put your feet here. Put your feet here. And again, I just do what I'm meant to do.
Yeah, that's sort of like where I feel like I am right now. I'm kind of like dabbling in, here and there and everywhere. And it actually feels good. It feels good to do it this way. I feel like I have more control this way. So, um,
Well, I feel like you're a healer. I don't know if you want me to tell you that on the thing, but I feel like
yeah,
you have the
I've been
ability
told
to
that.
heal.
I've been told that.
Yes.
And yeah, I think that's probably why I do a lot of, obviously I do a lot of yoga, and I'm really enjoying the Reiki piece of it. But also, like I said, the tarot cards and the oracle cards are great for me. I really enjoy doing it. And I feel like I always sort of, this is the first time that I feel like I don't want to do the hustle anymore. I don't want to do something where I'm having to, make money, make money, make money. I want to just help. I just want to, like you said, like I just want to like heal. I want to help. I feel like now is a really important time in the universe, and I got to get in there and help. That's
And I
just
feel like you were born to do that. You have, even the first time I met you, like you just have this very calming presence about you. You do. It's
it's not
just
common
very,
here.
but when you're it's a very calm, it's very relaxing. Like when you meet, like you just, I don't know, you just embrace people. And I don't know how else to explain it. And to me, it's because you're a natural, born healer, that you have the ability to do that. That you have the ability to make people feel better just by your presence.
That's amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're
So, Patty,
welcome.
what are you doing now? I mean, now, like we were in lockdown and you couldn't go to any of your events, and like what have you been doing?
Okay, so yes, my last show was March 7th. We had sold out. It was almost 300 people at Mohegan Sun. I think about 260, and that was my last show. And then I shut down everything on March 13th because I actually was born with a suppressed immune system.
Hmm.
I can't fight off pneumonia, so I have an IgG subclass deficiency, which means I don't have the pneumococcus in my body to fight it off. So I'm like, yeah, it's time for me to stop. And then they stopped it a few days later. And so all the shows were lost. And of course, we just went into phase 3, which
Yep.
we're not sure what's going to happen. And my shows are phase 3, phase 4. But I was able to do my first show at Mohegan Sun on September 12th, which
Hmm.
was great. We could only have like maybe 110 people because of social distancing, but we did have that. And then I did another one at Powder Ridge rather, Middlefield, really gorgeous. I had never been there. They have tents. Just good people. And
Yeah.
I did a sold out event there outside with 80 people. And I'm have another one at Mohegan Sun because they can make their own rolls. And I'm just trying to rebuild that up again. So I've not been doing anything in person. I've been doing everything virtual because of my immune system.
Yep.
And I've been doing virtual galleries weekly, which people love it because usually my galleries, like that I do weekly, there's 30, 35 people and it's always sold out. Sometimes there's 60, depending if I go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I'm only doing like 10 so I could see everybody, which everybody loves it. It's more like a private reading. And I've been doing the private readings, via virtual and via phone. And now I'm just starting up with the shows again. And so I'm still not going to do the in person because the shows allow me the distance. Like at Mohegan
Right.
Sun, I have to be 6 feet away.
Right.
And so I think I'm gonna do the South Ferry Theater again. We're working on that because usually by this time I have so many different theaters and different things, but with the coronavirus, I mean, it's changed everything and it's changed the way that we live. But the thing is that people still want this. Like when I did the show on September 12th and I did the show on September 26th, we sold both of them out. People
Yeah.
still need this. They need to have that connection and taking the protocols, of course, the safety protocols. And, so we just have to build it back up again and get to different places depending on what opens in the state.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to go to other states too, just because this is my livelihood. And when the governor said you can't do this, you have to figure out what you could do.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. You got to kind of figure it out for yourself. That's pretty
Yes.
amazing though. That's great. Well, I'm glad that, you're still doing your stuff. And I mean, I would love maybe if I could maybe get some people together and do like a virtual group. I think that would be fun. Maybe we can
Oh,
talk
it
about
is.
that after,
Yes. Yeah,
after.
and I do it on Google. Sorry.
No, no, I was
Sorry.
gonna say, like, after we get off, we can like plan something.
Oh yeah, and we could have more people too, but I just found, because I use Google Duo a lot, but this Zoom is coming in really clear. And Google Duo only lets you have 12. So I usually keep it down just so I could see everybody.
Yeah.
And when I was getting used to it, because you don't want to, I want to be able, you've seen me read, and I try to get to as many people as I can.
And you
So
do it too.
thank you. I really try. I hustle in those 2 hours. But when you can't see them, you're limited. So
Right.
that's why I wanted to be able to see them like on the virtual. So I kind of limit it to people. But I think if I do different avenues, I could even, bring up the people. But it's great virtual. People walk away and they love it.
So, okay, so that's another question which I want to ask is how do you electronically get readings? How do you So I'm
Uh,
sitting here, okay? I mean, I'm in Hamden and where are you?
I'm not at home. I'm normally in Watertown, but I'm actually at the casino because I was
Okay.
talking to them about a show. So I'm actually here.
Okay.
See my
Okay.
room. Yeah, so I'm actually
So
in our
how
casino.
so if you were going to read me, how would you read me electronically? How does that work?
You know, First of all, like, our people that are passed come through electronically. Like, you do know that. Like, when you hear about people coming through, like phone
Yes.
devices, you hear about TV acting up and different things. So they're wherever you are. Okay, I actually read somebody in Belgium, and I read somebody in India 2 weeks ago, and I read all over the United States. I've read Florida, Oregon, Virginia, West Virginia. I mean, all over. Um, Wherever you are, that's where your loved ones are. And so if we're sitting here, it doesn't matter. We could be on the phone. We don't even have to see each other. And the reason I started doing virtual was because when the coronavirus hit, people wanted to see me. And I'm like, but it works the same. And they're like, no, I want to see you. So I started doing it. But they're able to come through wherever you are. So the medium is able to do it by phone, to do it by computer, to do it. I mean, I could sit on the highway and the mix master be stuck in the middle of traffic and start reading you, and you be on the phone with me and still have it come through. Of course I wouldn't, because I like to be in my zone, but
Right.
yeah, it just works wherever it works the same. They're still coming through, and you're
Is it
still.
images? Are you hearing things?
So I describe, so when you walk into a movie theater and you see the movie theater blank, like there's nothing up yet. So that's what our mind looks like, right? Like on that projection screen with nothing on it. And then they're going to throw up from the minute I start, whether I haven't even done my prayer yet and I start doing my prayer to read, they start. So even when I explain what I do, they start. I get a thought, or I'll get a word or something come in. And on that screen, they're going to show me whatever I need to see or whatever I need to hear. And so I don't hear voices when I'm reading. They're thoughts that are coming out to me. Because imagine doing a show with 300 people and then having like
Yeah.
200 voices come in. You'd be like, oh my God, straight jacket. Where is it?
Right.
Give it to me. Commit me right now.
Right.
So I hear and I see whatever they want me to. If they want me to see what the person looks like, if it's important to the reading, because again, you don't have a lot of time when you're reading. And so whatever they show me is what I'm going to say. If their looks are important, they're going to show it to me. If there's something like a memory, they're going to show me something that means something to me, because think about it. They can't talk. They don't have a voice. So when we're doing the mediumship aspect of it, I base it on memories, because the reason that they come through a medium, a go-between, is to let you know they're with you, and to say, even though I'm not here, I'm here. And I see you. I see what you did today. I see what you did 22 years ago. Here's the memory from here. And that's what they're doing. But because I don't know that person and I haven't experienced their memories, they're going to show something that means something to me to get me as close to there. It's kind of like you're missing a puzzle piece. Like you're always missing 5 pieces, mediumship. And together we have to put it together, and then it goes into a beautiful message of, guess what, I'm here. So whether it's a thought, whether it's a word, whether it's an image, it goes boom, 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 boom. And it's kind of like when you're in a TV show, right? And you have the cameras coming from everywhere. That's what's happening when I'm reading. So even though I have that one screen, there's cameras coming in from every angle.
Got
And
it.
four people could be talking to me at one time. And I'm only going to hear the one because I don't have four sets of lips. So I'm only going to be able to say one thing. And as quickly as the images and the messages come through, they disappear from my mind. So quite frequently in a reading, I'll repeat something 3 times, or I'll have seen somebody 2 years ago and repeat something I said 2 years ago. And I don't have any recollection of that. I forget within 5 minutes. So it's just them letting them know again what they need them to know.
Right. Because I know like when I watched you do it, and it was really cool because I sat on the other side of the room and I just watched you and I sat and wrote everything that so you would go to somebody and you would start saying things to them and I would write everything down that you would say.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so I would I'd look at somebody with a red sweater and I just would, at the top, I was write red sweater. And then I would just like write everything that you said. And then at the end, I gave everybody their sheet because they
Oh,
don't
that was
remember
awesome.
things, you know what I mean? And they're so in the moment. And, so I wanted to make sure that they got everything that you said down.
That
But
was beautiful people. You just had great
it
people
was
there
a
that night.
really, it was a really interesting it was a really interesting evening because there were so many lost young men there.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
knew when people signed up, I knew a few of the stories. And obviously, I didn't tell you about them.
No.
And they didn't know. A couple of them were there that they did not know me, but I had heard their stories. So it was really interesting watching you just do your thing, and you really got it. It was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I remember that night. Wow. And it was great. We had the two different sides and there were a lot of people who lost children and there were different links and layers. And that does happen. Like I know in your place, there are people who knew each other and different things like that, but a lot of times they don't know each other. And there could be all about, children coming through, or sometimes it's all about spouses coming through, and they're sitting next to each other and they have these links that almost like help them to heal.
Yeah, they were brought together. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And it was a great energy that night. And there was so much healing in that room.
Hmm.
It was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one. I was so happy. And I know like in the very beginning, I remember you were saying something you were talking about, you were saying Washington, not Washington DC, but Washington State. And I knew I had a client there who they had just moved back from Washington and it went right over her head. She didn't even hear it. So then afterwards, I said to her, did you not hear that in the beginning that she was talking to you? She was saying about Washington and you had said a couple other things and I knew it was her but she wasn't ready, I guess, to hear the message, I guess.
And sometimes they miss it because of the way that it comes through. Like the people that are sitting in front of me are the antennas. Like, so if they're like, yay, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. My daughter just beeped in and I had to decline her. I'm doing it again. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay. She's trying to FaceTime me.
It's fun.
So she
It's
got it.
okay.
She got a new puppy
Aw.
and it is the cutest puppy in the world. Oh my goodness. I love this. We have a dog already, but this puppy is beautiful. So she's trying to show me videos of
Oh,
her.
okay.
Yeah, she's 8 weeks old. So sorry, I didn't mean for that to
That's
happen for
okay.
calling in. But that is the way that it happens. And people sit there and they forget, like, or they're thinking they're gonna get one thing. Do you know what I mean? And so it happens. I went to John Edward, okay, and I was a professional medium. He had predicted this for me back, years ago, 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And he told me I was going to do this. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I went again. My mom died in 2014. And my mom passed away. And so I went to John Edward again. I'm like, oh, I wanna see him, and see if mom comes through. And I went, and here I am, professional medium. Like, this is what I do. And I wrote him a poem years ago when my dad had died. I wrote him a poem, and he never took poems from people. He never took gifts from people. And it was so important to him. He took it from me and he put it in his newsletter when he had his newsletter at the time. So it was a big thing. So we're sitting there and he goes, now he doesn't remember me. It had been years since I seen him. And he goes, you write? And he goes, I have to talk about the writing or whatever. I go, yeah, I write poems. And my friend goes, are you an idiot? She's like, you wrote him the poem. She's like, he hung it in his office. She's like, he put it in his newsletter. And I'm like, oh my God. And I totally forgot. I mean, it was a huge thing. And so you are going to forget those things. Like, it happens because it's very hard to be sitting there. Like, you're representing every member of your family. So not only are you going to get stuff about you, you're going to get stuff about your children, your husband, your best friend, your ex-husband, your whatever. It's all going to come through. And you're going to get people that have passed that you think, oh, it's just going to be my immediate family. No, it could be a coworker's daughter that just came through. It could be an ex that you had 20 years ago and his mom is coming through. And there's so many things, and people are thinking of that one thing and it's not coming together. And then afterward, So I did Powder Ridge a few weeks ago, and I kept going over to this table, and I'm like, I was saying a name, which I forgot, and I kept saying New Jersey. And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, yeah, because I am a human GPS. And I may not do good in directions in life, like driving, but I know my people, and I know where the message belongs. I could pick you out from a crowd of 1,000. I know where I am. And I kept going over to this one table, and we had it socially distanced where, if you're a table of 4, that's what you're going to be. If you're a party of 6, you're going to have that table. So there was only 2 people at this table. And I kept going over, and I said, you're going to message me later. You're just not getting it. And I know, I believe in the people on the other side. So I said, I'll look for your email when I get home. I didn't even walk in my door yet, and I had an email from these people. And the person coming through was the father of the roommate, her mom's roommate, and he was from New Jersey. And so she just wasn't giving it to me. Like, she was just, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to waste any more time because it was towards the end and I had other people to get to. And we just forget, or we don't think that it's going to be something like that, or we don't think that's what they're going to say, or we have in our minds how it's supposed to work.
I think a lot of times also people just don't think that they're worthy of a message.
That's
I'm
true.
not that special. No one's going to come through for me.
That's true. Or they don't realize that the grandparent they never met is watching over them and has been braiding their hair since they were, had hair, or holding their hand or showing them things. And they don't really, they think, okay, I just read somebody a couple weeks ago and they were like, well, I'm only close to this one person. I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. You have you take in your spouse, you have their people. Then if you get a divorce, you're still taking them in. Like, they're part of your family. They're part of who you are forever. And it's kind of like a phone call to heaven when you come to a medium, and they can't, they try to talk to us from heaven, but we don't hear them. So when you go to somebody that could actually give you the message, you got everybody calling, hey, how you doing? And just to say hi, and just to talk about this, or, it could be you could get 20 people in an hour reading, and it happens, and they're just giving you that message. And I always tell people, like, if they don't get read, like, everybody's worthy, of course, but if you don't get read, it doesn't mean that your loved ones aren't with you, because we carry our loved ones with us, all of us. It just means that somebody needed it more, or maybe we weren't able to hear it, or maybe, the person in front of us, just needed it more, or maybe the person needed it so bad, but they were unable to hear it because the passing just happened, 6 weeks before. And even though somebody's happened a week before, the one 6 weeks before can't hear it because they're not ready to hear it. You have to be ready.
Right.
Yeah. And people aren't always ready because they don't know what to expect.
Yeah. This was amazing. Thank you so much, Patty. I really appreciate you talking with me. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to do a reading?
Oh, okay, wonderful. So they could go on my Facebook page, which I have. It's on my Facebook page. It's Patty Griffin, Whispers from Heaven LLC, And then I also have a website, www.pattygriffinmedium.com. So my emails are all on there, and they could send me an email. My phone number is listed like everywhere, so they could
Okay.
call. But it's better to do an email or to do through one of the sites, just because it's easier for me to get back to you that way.
Okay.
And they could just email me for information, and I could tell them about the galleries and the private readings and the private groups, or where I'm going to be.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to add to this? Anything else that you want to say or share, or anything you can think of?
Well, I guess for people that are, I guess, afraid of it, again, like when we were talking about, like religion and different things, don't be. To the people that think that when we pass away, we pass away, like, I wish we could fix your thinking of that, because when we leave this world, there is something out there that we are able to still be here and be connected to those that we love. And, love transcends death. Death doesn't matter in love. And so I would say to people, you're missing out on this opportunity to know that your loved ones are with you, and that you're missing these signs, whether it's coins, whether it's a phone, going on and off. And I just want them to open their hearts to that, because when we die, we don't just die. Our spirit, our essence, our love remain with those, and we're watching over them, and we're protecting them. And that's what they do. And you know what? You might find this interesting. I should tell you this probably. So I have 3 kids, but my 2 younger kids, they're 18 and 20. And again, protecting from the other side, they were driving, and my daughter hydroplaned. And when she hydroplaned, she hit her head on the thing and she passed out for a minute. Now, my son, who was 17 at the time, would not have left her. Okay, he wouldn't have left her. And there was an 18-wheeler coming for them.
Oh my God.
On the highway. And my son was trying to wake her up. And my people, this just happened a year ago, my people said to me that they literally got that driver's attention. Because you know how hard it is to stop an 18-wheeler or to move an 18-wheeler? And they said that they were standing in the road almost like this, like, excuse me. And they lined up on the highway to come to them. And that is a display of love. That is trying to help you. And that's what they do. Sometimes they can't prevent something bad from happening, but they could prevent it to the extent that maybe that person doesn't pass, or maybe, this doesn't happen. And they could try to prevent things from the other side, because that's what they would do here. They would use their love and anything they can to protect us. And that's what they're doing on the other side. So again, to the people who don't believe in that, I feel sorry for you, because you're missing out on the fact you think we're just here and we're gone.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's so
Love,
much more there.
there is so much more. And people are afraid, like, to pass away, but you don't die. Your soul is watching over. And so we're always here. And so I would just tell people just to open your eyes, open your heart, and just feel your loved ones with you, because you're missing out on something very beautiful if you're not doing that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Patty. I really appreciate it.
Thank
This
you.
is fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
As we were talking, I was folding laundry a little bit, so I was trying to, but then I got distracted by you, so I just stopped, because you're so interesting. So.
Thank you. And I'm so, like, I bounced, you know why? Because I have so much activity there. Like, I can't, everybody says that I have like an attention deficit disorder now, and I probably do, because I have so much going on in there. Like, I have people like all over the place.
So I'm going to turn off the recorder, but I just wanted to say, and then we'll chat afterwards. But I just wanted to thank Patty for coming out and doing this interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And I will talk with you guys soon. Bye.